SuperTalk Mississippi Media Production.
Want to welcome in Jackson Fuller, covers the Arkansas Razorbacks for the Southwest Times Record up there in the state of Arkansas. Has been on with us many times before. And Jackson, I think it's fair to say this Arkansas team has overachieved to a certain degree. Maybe the record doesn't stand exactly where you would like for it to, but this Arkansas team has been pretty good through the season, but they've been up and down. Last week was a down. Do you think this week can be an up for the Razorbacks?
Yeah, Brian, I think, they've definitely overachieved. I mean, I think they probably should have won the Oklahoma State game and then pull it off the big upset that they had been missing the past couple seasons against Tennessee. I think they can bounce back. I think LSU in a lot of ways was a bad matchup for Arkansas just because of how good their offensive line and quarterback are, and they really kind of were able to take advantage of some of, Travis Williams, the defensive coordinator's core philosophies. This week against Mississippi State, I think Arkansas, if they're as good of a team as the coaches and the players believe they are, they win this game. But the Hogs have had a lot of issues with Mississippi State over the past 12 years. So I think it's going to be probably a closer game than maybe a lot of people expect. And that's I think the spread's like 6.5, 7.5, something like that. That seems like a lot of points for a road SEC game to me.
Some injury news for both teams. Mississippi State, Matt Zenitz from 24/7 Sports reported earlier that Mario Craver, State's exciting freshman receiver, likely to be out this weekend. You tweeted on Wednesday that Hogs running back Jaquindon Jackson is going to be doubtful for this game. What is the latest on him? And if he can't go for the Hogs, what does that mean?
Yeah, I don't think he plays this week. I mean, maybe I'm wrong and we get a surprise on Saturday, but he played against LSU and he was not on the SEC's availability report all last week, but he looked banged up right from the first snap. I genuinely don't think he took back-to-back snaps all game. It was usually like he'd get a carry and then he'd come off the field and they replaced him. He's been banged up all season. I think they're going to give him a couple weeks off here. And Arkansas has a freshman, Braylon Russell, that the coaches have said is kind of going to carry the rock this week. And big, really huge running back, like over 240 pounds. Not the quickest of guys, but can run over people. And it'll be interesting to see if maybe the running game, the scheme of it changes a little bit with no Jaquindon and Braylon coming in. Again, maybe we're surprised by Saturday morning and Jaquindon's ready to go. But even if he is, I think it's going to be a snap count and limitations. And he's not going to be maybe the feature back this weekend.
What's been more surprising to you about this Arkansas team? The success they've had offensively, or the major improvement they've had defensively from a season ago?
Neither has really surprised me too much. I think the defense has been the more impressive unit, and that's for sure. I mean, the LSU game was really their first bad game. They gave up 38 points to Oklahoma State, but the offense committed 3 turnovers, and there was some, a special teams miscue involved, and the defense played well enough through the first 3.5 quarters to win that game. I think the improvement of the linebacker core and the secondary with a couple key transfers and guys who have been hurt this year has been surprising. But at the same time, the defense played pretty well through the first half of last season, and then it kind of fell off at the end. That's one thing I'm looking for the last 5 games of the season is, can they avoid that same kind of fall off and, really close the season strong, because they have been so good through the first 7 weeks.
Kalen Green has been a really good player for Arkansas this year. His touchdown to interception ratio is not great, 6-6, but he's completed almost 59% of his passes. He's given them 300 yards in the run game and 4 touchdowns there as well. I thought coming into this season that his play would be a big part of why Arkansas was or was not successful. Just from your own expectations of him coming into this year, what did you think of him so far?
I think he's exceeded my expectations. I think he's been a little bit better of a passer than I thought he would be, and his impact in the running game has either matched my expectations or exceeded them. He hasn't been as effective running the football in the past 2 weeks, and I think that's had a negative impact on Arkansas, but they've gone up against Tennessee and LSU, 2 of the better defensive lines in the country. So maybe this is a week where he kind of gets right with the running game. The passing he's been efficient, more accurate than I thought, but it really the turnovers are the one thing that's kind of holding him back. And in Arkansas's 3 losses, they've lost the turnover battle in those games 9-1, and he has had interceptions or a fumble in all of those games, and they've been critical turnovers, not just like, oh, it's an interception the second quarter and Arkansas's defense gets off the field. No, it's been a pick six. It's been an interception that leads to an LSU touchdown, a fumble that leads to a Texas A&M touchdown. He's got to take care of the ball better. That feels like maybe the last step for him in his development. And if that happens, I think Arkansas can really close the season strong. But it's kind of as simple as that. If Arkansas turns the ball over, they have a really difficult time winning football games.
Arkansas 4-3 on the season. One game remains with Louisiana Tech towards the back end there. This game feels like it's crucial for Arkansas in terms of if they want to go to a bowl, they have to have this one. Otherwise, you're talking about trying to beat Ole Miss, try to beat Texas, or try to win at Missouri. Is that the vibe you get from the Arkansas team when you've talked to them and the fan base up there, that this is a crucial game for Arkansas and for Sam Pittman?
I feel it from the fan base. I definitely think that and believe that that's the proper way to view this game. I don't necessarily feel it from the team because I think that the team has been confident all season. There's definitely a better energy and just belief within the program this year. I think even if they were to lose this game, they feel like they could snag an upset victory against Ole Miss or Missouri or even Texas. I mean, that's going to be a crazy environment with Texas coming to Fayetteville. So I don't think that the program's kind of treating this as like the most critical game, but I agree with you, Brian. Like if they lose this game, it's kind of hard to envision a path towards bowl eligibility. I think Sam Pittman goes back on the hot seat. And if they win it, I think that there's probably I would put 90% chance Sam Pittman's back here because next year, because it's going to be a 2-win improvement. Assuming they beat Louisiana Tech, they're going to get to a bowl game. And, I think they've got a great shot to beat Missouri and Ole Miss. Neither of those teams have looked unbeatable this year. And, if they get to 7 wins, it's a huge, huge improvement and exceeding expectations for the program.
If you've watched Mississippi State at all this year, you know that defensively Mississippi State's just not good. We'll just call it what it is. Arkansas has already lost one shootout this year to Oklahoma State. That was the game where you mentioned turnovers. Huge reason they lost that game to the Cowboys. Do you feel good about the Hogs being able to win a game that gets into the 30s and the 40s? Because that's where I feel Mississippi State has to be if they want to have a chance to win.
No, to be quite honest with you, I don't feel good about that. I think if Arkansas is going to win this game, the defense has to play well and can't let Mississippi State get into the 30s or the 40s because of those turnovers, because Arkansas hasn't been very efficient inside of the red zone. I think there's a world where Arkansas gets to 30 points, but if Mississippi State's scoring 35, I mean, we haven't seen Arkansas score, in the high 30s all SEC. The offense has been. It started out the season really well, but it's been a little disappointing as of late. And no, I think you're right. Like Mississippi State will want this game to be a shootout, and Arkansas is going to want it to be. I think Mississippi State should be able to score on Arkansas, but can they get to that 30 number? I don't know. I think if Arkansas keeps them at 24, 21, something like that, the Hogs will have a great chance to win the game.
Every week on the podcast, we do our offensive and defensive playmakers, the guys we think will have the biggest impact on the game. But we also pick an X factor, a guy who maybe he doesn't have a huge game, but he makes a huge play that kind of turns the tide for his team. For Arkansas, who would that guy be? Take away the big names. Who's somebody maybe under the radar that could have an impact on this game Saturday?
I think one person to watch is on the defensive side is Eric Gregory, defensive tackle. Landon Jackson gets all of the love and the praise on the defensive side. He's probably going to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft, but offensive lines, they can double team him at times, but if he has a good game and opens up rush lanes, I think this Arkansas defense has been really good when one of their defensive tackles also has a great game and complements Landon. And for me, that's Eric Gregory this week. I think he's one guy to watch along the defensive line that, Mississippi State hasn't been great running the football this year. If Gregory plays well and kind of keeps that theme going, that'll be a big boost for the defense.
We'll see what happens this morning here at Davis-Wade Stadium as Mississippi State takes on Arkansas in a game that is absolutely crucial, in my opinion, for both sides. Jackson Fuller, Southwest Times Records. Always appreciate your time, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.